Hey, can you understand it? Let's see. Hold on a second. Well, I thank you for coming. Evadyne with Company, talk worth listening to, continuing a conversation regarding sex, sexuality, sexual preference, coming into oneself. We had an earlier conversation, which you'll find on my website, Networking for Success. Same subject. Now, people want to know, why are you talking about sex? And I say, because the fact that we're here living and breathing, that's a result. So it's a natural function. It's a natural order of things. And we don't talk about it enough in a proactive way, in an educating way. In early, not elementary, but junior high school, there are sex education classes, but in those classes, it's limited in how much they'll talk about in terms of your hormones and your feelings and what causes these things to happen. Why did I decide to talk about it today? Well, I had a conversation earlier this week and I learned from a gentleman some of the feelings that young boys go through. And for me, it was new because one, I come from a family of mostly girls, females in my family as siblings. I have two younger brothers. But again, when you're going through the motion, when you yourself are in that same generation, there's not much conversation. And of course, you grow up and you grow through it and you start experiencing a lot of things as you get older, but still not a lot of conversation in an educating way, more conversation in an inviting way, more exploration as you get older. We talked about being young and self-exploring. And then you can grow up and you're older and you're still self-exploring as in self-satisfying, masturbation. Sometimes we engage with our siblings, with our cousins, with people who are close to us, that we have that opportunity to, because it is, once again, that natural order of things. I give a few examples of how natural this order is. I don't want to play with dolls. I don't want to wear dresses. I'm not comfortable with my pigtails. I want to go out and play baseball. I want to go out and climb trees. I want to run. I want to get dirty. And I'm only 6 years old. I'm not choosing to lay down and have intercourse. But also, I don't want to play with trucks. I don't want to play baseball. I don't want to play basketball. I don't want to play football. I'm not comfortable in jeans. I have a good time when I'm playing with my sisters and we're dressing up and I get to wear high heels. And I'm only 7. Those are examples of what we used to call tomboys, which was the girl, and sissies, which was the boy. No offense to anyone who's listening. Those were just the terms that we were grown to say. But I mentioned that because, again, I'm 6 years old and I'm 7 years old. I am not engaging in intercourse. I don't even know what intercourse is. I'm just following the natural order that my body has put in place. I am following my mind because it's mine, right? I'm following my mind, not following anyone's lead. I'm following my mind and I'm following my feelings, which are very important. I gave a talk on homosexuality, and this gentleman who was in that arena, that lifestyle, who is homosexual. I don't even know if I want to say that anymore. Homo and then sexual. Heck, I'm Homo sapien and I am sexual. So I might be a homosexual too. Who knows? That's why I laugh at the alphabets. I call it the alphabets, the LGBTQWXYZ. That's what I call it, because they keep coming up with new letters and new names. And I'm not sure who's coming up with it, but I believe it's more of the branding. Like, oh, I was going to say something, but I won't say that. So, no, it wasn't bad. I was just going to name a cereal, but I don't want to get flagged or scorned or strucken down from possibly if I put this up on YouTube. Looking for another platform, though. But I say all that to say, when it's possible for one person to be born with both sex organs, anything short of that is possible. Agree? Both sex organs. The choice is usually up to the parents to choose which sex organ to either close or remove. Many people don't know this, but testicles are ovaries that have dropped down. And the penis is the vulva, which has grown. They tell me there are two, I don't know if you would call them tribes, or two groups of people from Dominican Republic, I think, where the women, when they reach puberty, their penises grow. Yeah. But let's go back to how this all started. Yeah, you know how it started, right? You heard the story. A man was created from dust. A woman was created from his rib. And then all other creation came. We don't know how. I don't remember reading stories about how they lay down and make babies. But the story is, from that, we are here now. I'm going to believe it had something to do with sex. I'm going to believe that. So when I talk sex and sexuality, sensuality, sexual attraction, sexual preference, the sensual sexual sex, according to that same story, is why the apple fell far from the tree. And because the apple fell far from the tree, and the man was given an order that he followed, but the woman lured him, I'm led to believe he was lured by sensual, sexual, sex appeal, and lack of self-control. I can't think of any reason why in such a story that an order came down of what to do and what not to do, and everything was fine. And then you get a companion, and the companion is tempted, and you follow. It could only be something as strong as sex, sensuality, sexuality, sex, that three-letter word. I always say if is the biggest, smallest word in the dictionary, because it could mean the make it or break it. If, IF, two letters, if. But here we have a three-letter word that causes so much havoc, and at the same time, so much pleasure. So what do we do with it? Do we just let it happen? You know, here you are, here you were, here you are, here you were, here you are, here you were. Or do we come to understand the power in it and the power in ourselves to control it? Sex. Dopamine. Too little can cause Parkinson's. Too much can cause schizophrenia. It's a neurotransmitter. Oh, that has to do something with our brain. And as I speak about that in my book, let me share this with you. Product of your product, right? So this is the book, You. I speak about it in my book, which you can find on my website, Suicide is a Serious Killer. Let's End It Today is the name of the book, and it is truly about living. It is about understanding life situations. But I mentioned this book because if you can see it clearly, the title of the book is You, the Owner's Manual. Every device, every machine, every piece of equipment that we purchase with money comes with an owner's manual. But our bodies, head to toe, I call it above the chin included, no owner's manual until one of my dearest people, Dr. Mehmet Oz, you see here, can't make it up, and Dr. Michael Rosen co-authored this book to help us understand the human body. Dr. Oz isn't new to the industry of trying to educate us and make us healthy and keep us healthy. And I say that because this book was actually published in, I believe, 1995 or 6. Oh, nope, 2005. 2005. Well. 2005. Wow. So he's not new. He's not new to wanting to empower us about our bodies, the human body, the way that things go. I respect that because, again, no one has given us an owner's manual to help us understand our bodies. But let me say this. Sex, that little word, it can make you or break you. And it would be my preference that it would make you stronger, make you wiser, make you more aware. But that's only if you are aware. In the 90s, President Clinton appointed Dr. Jocelyn Elders as his Surgeon General. One of her plans was to include masturbation in the junior high hygiene health education curriculum. They removed her. And one of her reasons for it, can you think of a reason? Think of a reason why learning and understanding masturbation and the power of it could be beneficial. Think about that. Well, what is it? Exactly. It's self-satisfaction, self-awareness, it's empowerment. And why do I say empowerment? And how did she feel it would minimize teen pregnancies? Well, if you can do it yourself, you would not be seeking others to do it for you. What are we talking about? Naturally, sexual satisfaction. If you could do it yourself, if you knew your points, you wouldn't need anyone to help you. And when I say not need anyone, again, we're speaking about early on with her initiative, teenagers. There's a curiosity from the time you're born. I'm sure 3 years old and above, when you're self-exploring. And who knows what happens? You have your 3-year-old or 4-year-old in the tub and you're giving them a bath and you have no idea how what you're doing to them, just washing them up, cleaning them up, is affecting them. I think I've seen infants actually, male infants, I'm sorry, men, you are more exposed than women. But I think I've seen or heard with male infants, when you're even changing their diapers, get an erection. Their penises get hard because they're being stimulated. They don't understand it, but that's what's happening. But trust and believe, once they are understanding it, when they start bathing themselves and showering themselves, they do understand it. And out of curiosity, they try it a little further, whatever it is, nothing to be ashamed of. And I'm sure females are doing the same thing. Young females, teenagers are doing the same thing. If they were to get caught doing it, they would be disciplined, depending on who catches them and how educated and aware they are. And I'm speaking of parents or guardians. It's a natural order of things. S, E, X. It's how we all arrived. We don't want people to stumble on issues. We don't want them to be taught by the wrong person. Would you agree? We don't want them to be taught by the wrong person. Who would the wrong person be? Their peers. Who would the wrong person be? A misaligned adult in their life. Or even a child, a young child, who may be under their care, or they're under their care, because it's so natural. The exploration of another person's body is something that people may initiate, not necessarily knowing they're doing harm, but they may long term, or they may not. S, E, X. But let's talk about someone who's attracted to the same sex. I believe that one of the reasons some parents are very anti same-sex relationships. I'll say that. I believe they did something wrong, or that it's their fault, or that they could have done something different. It may have nothing to do with what you particularly did. But I do say this: same-sex attraction is not new. Because if we go back to that one man, one woman, how they made their children, and we go back to one of the eras that's spoken about, Sodom and Gomorrah, there was a lot of same-sex interaction during that time, according to the story. It's not new. It's not new. It is defined, it is branded, it is banished in some places. It's not new. So what would make one believe that something that was happening thousands of years ago would not continue? Would not continue. What would make one believe that if you discipline someone against it, that they would stop feeling it? So I did a talk, back to that, on homosexuality and the why. And I spoke about it in a way that, so this is what I said. And the gentleman who listened to it, he told me I had to take that down because his community would be offended, because I said people choose to be gay. I said, no, that's not what I said in my talk. What I said in my talk is that people who have to make a choice. They have to make a choice whether they live the way they look, like a female, maybe in my case, if I look like a female today with no hair. Do I live the way I look, or do I live the way I feel? That's the choice they have to make. And it's not an easy choice because of society. It's not an easy choice. Again, because there's so much prejudice that's put out there that Sometimes people take, I don't know if it's the high road, but they take the high road of doing what the masses will accept, doing it outwardly, what the masses will accept. Most people who are anti same sex are concerned about what goes on in someone else's bedroom. Someone else's bedroom, not even theirs. Oh, wait, but we do know what goes on in their bedroom. The same act that they're, in some cases, the same act that they're prejudiced against is the same service they'll ask for in private or in public and or for a fee. But they'll pretend that they are, that's horrible. Stay out of people's bedrooms. There are people who are attracted to the same sex who don't even have sex. Did you know? Yeah. Just like there are people who are attracted to the opposite sex, I'll say, who don't have sex. S-E-X. S-E-X. I remember a situation where a young lady was living with her aunt and uncle, and she went away for the weekend to her boyfriend's house. And when she returned, the aunt, very prudish, said that she couldn't stay there anymore because she was setting a bad example for her children. Think about that. Her children were teenagers. Her children were going away for the weekend and spending the weekend with their friends, spending the night with their friends, not being home overnight or over 2 nights. So when the niece did the exact same thing, and yes, she went to her boyfriend's, the aunt, in her mind and realizing what may have been going on that weekend, took a position that the niece was not a good example. But very well, her children could have went away the next weekend to stay with their friends in the same way, because people's minds lead them to do very unfair things. So if the niece was coming home, and I agree, and telling the stories of her weekend with the younger children, the younger teenagers in the house, well, then yeah. But just because she packed up a bag and went away for the weekend, that was no indicator, and that was no, to me, level of disrespect, except in the aunt's mind, what she imagined was going on. The effects that we have on children because of our mind, our belief, and our thinking could be very disturbing. Very. And it could set a bad example. It could set a bad example. So I asked the question, sex, sexuality, sexual preference, coming into oneself. As we grow older and we move from different levels, as the gentleman was sharing with me when it comes to young men, males, because I haven't had much experience, as I mentioned, there's an attraction that men see, males, and their opposite sex partners or opposite sex peers. If they're attracted to their hair, if they're attracted to eyes, if they're attracted to hips or breasts, when they see their attraction, he said there's a rush that goes through their body, like a rush. I said, like hormones, like hot flashes, like women get, He said maybe. But it is probably dopamine, a dopamine rush. Your brain sees it, the neurotransmitters go, beep, 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 and it's a quick rush. It may happen the same thing with women. It may. You're interested in someone, you see them, they smell good, whatever it is, your hormones start. You might start sweating. You might start thinking. You might just feel good from seeing that person, seeing the features in that person that you admire, that you like, or that you're strongly attracted to. When I learned that dopamine as a neurotransmitter can cause Parkinson's or schizophrenia, that was pretty serious. But it's also something that they treat mental health patients with. And it's something that is naturally in our bodies. So I say when we hear some of these examples of people being arrested for sexual molestation, for rape, for different things like that, well, one, we know they're not level-minded, right? We know that. But now it helps us to understand that their action could be out of their control. Wow, imagine that. Could be out of their control. And then they go to, well, they get arrested. Let's say that they get arrested. Depending on the case, they may be committed to some mind/mental counseling. They may be put in jail, and then it's medication. Medication is funny. Supplementation is funnier. But when you get to the root of the problem, sometimes natural supplements could help regulate the body in so many different ways, so many different ways. Natural supplements. We want to be mindful when we point our fingers at people and we see what they're doing and how they're doing it and if they could do it and why they could do it. And you don't know why people are doing what they do if we're not having conversation with them. Sex. We are all a part of it one way or another. Sex. Sexual preference. Sexuality. We talked about that. We talked about someone being able to walk into a room and all the attention is on them. No intention from the person, but all the attention is on them, as if they were the guests of honor. But sometimes it's just people's way. It's just their way. They're not trying to do a darn thing. Don't want the attention, didn't ask for the attention, but they get the attention. And that's okay. As long as it's not abused, right? As long as it's not abused. I do hope that you will take into consideration some information. I would love, truly love, for you to visit my website and get this copy of my book, Suicide is a Serious Killer. Let's End It Today, Evadyne Smith. You can visit my website, networkingforsuccess.info. You know what? Because you're watching this, let me give you the digital copy of the book. So you can go to nfspcn.com. nfspcn.com. Go ahead. You can go there. And you'll have a digital copy of the book. And you can share that digital copy. You can. I've had people donate, contribute to the distribution of the book. And so giving away the digital copy is okay with me. I appreciate that. I appreciate the donations. The hard copy, you can get this hard copy wholesale directly through me. Sure you can. 347-457-2769. There you go. Got that? 347-457-2769. And if you go to networkingforsuccess.info, You can work your way around that site and find a whole lot of other things. You could also click on the suicide link and you can order through the link. Wholesale, you can get the book. Retail on Amazon, not much. When I first released the book, it was 78 pages. Now the book is a wonderful 309 pages, over 40,000 words. And it's not a how-to book. If you read the title, Suicide is a Serious Killer, Let's End It Today, we want to put a stop to it. But the best way to put a stop to it is to understand it. Like sex, you got to understand it. I'm just saying, get Dr. Oz book. It's an owner's manual. I'll say this, if you have a body, you should have an owner's manual to your body. Agree or disagree? Agree or disagree? Think about these questions. Young men, young women, how can we help them in their development? How can we help them in their development? Oh, as a matter of fact, depending on when you're watching this, on Saturdays, there's starting April 22nd, there is a podcast, and it's for young people, the next generation. And you can reach that podcast. It's from 1 to 3 p.m. Ages 10 to 17 have to come with a parent or guardian, and 18 or above, more than welcome to come with a parent or guardian. Definitely they can come alone, but there's so much information in the conversation and the direction, and we learn so much about the people that we live with because of the Q&A, and it's just discussion. It's wonderful, and it's important for us as adults to know not only what's going on in their lives, but how we can help their lives. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. Yeah. Okay. So you can find that on Grown Folk Talking, Express Yourself. It's also where my podcast is on Thursdays at 12:30, from 12:30 to 2:30. But the young people Next Generation podcast is Saturdays, starting April 22nd. You can log on to Huddle, HUDDLE .team, TEAM. And then the meeting ID is Grown Folk, one word, Grown Folk. You could also call in at 520-525-8633. And when you call that number, if it says that your carrier charges you a penny a minute, you can text "call me" to that number, and it will call you back. And it won't be a charge, right? And listen to the show lineup. There's a lot of podcasts on there. It's growing, it's wonderful. And it's, if you're sitting around and eating, if you're sitting around with nothing to do, when you call in, automatically it's going to say announce yourself. Please don't announce yourself, because someone could be in the middle of speaking, and when you announce yourself, it breaks it up. So don't announce yourself. That's the time I want you to not follow directions. How's that? I want to ask you, okay, so young men and young women, as adults, or if you're younger listening, what can we do to help the process of growing and developing for our young people? What can we share with them that we experienced that would help them along their path? What? How can we help them understand the changes that they may be going through, or prepare them for the changes that they may have to go through? Education, right? Knowledge is power. Some things they may never experience, and some things they may. But I always say being prepared is the best thing. I had this slogan, are you a decision maker or a circumstance taker, right? And being a decision maker, you want to be prepared for the things that could happen, so it doesn't knock you off your pedestal. You want to be prepared. The more prepared you are, the better off you are, right? Also, for you, when and how did you know that you've arrived, that you have arrived to be the person you were destined to be? Not that it's over, but that you have arrived. You are now into yourself. You have arrived. You know, when we're children, we are our parents' children. And when we're teenagers, we're still our parents' children, but now we're a little more explorative as we are mixing and mingling with our peers, maybe 15, 16, 17, 18. Then you become a young adult. And when you're a young adult, let's go from 18 to like 25, 26-ish. You're now experiencing more. You finish school on some level, you enter the workforce, we hope, on some level, if that's your dream. Workforce, even if it's your business, you've entered. But do you know, it's not until you turn about 30-ish that you are like, I'm grown. I'm grown. Wow, look at this. You look back on some years, literally, you'll look back on the last 10 years where you were shedding the control, I'll say, of your parents, right? And control, not a bad thing, just under their roof, under their complete guidance. Those last 10 years, you were spreading your wings and shedding your own feathers and crossing your own bridges. And now at 30, you can look back on that and say, whoa, look at that. Look what I done did, right? Where am I going next? That's the question. Where am I going next? I want you to know that 30 is almost the beginning of your full life. 30-ish, right? 30-ish. It's the beginning of your full life. You have so much in life's university. I say I attend the University of the Universe, lifetime student, tuition free, seat open if you want to come in. I'm just saying, all subject matters. There's no subject matter that this university will not teach you. Come on in, let the professor know I sent you. But in all honesty, 30 is the beginning. It is not down the hill. You have not even reached the crest, but you are halfway there. You're halfway there. The next 70 years is going to be a breeze. But those first 30 years, that's when you're getting your diploma, your certificate for true living. You're learning all of your lessons along that path, along that way. I do know this. I do know this. Yes, I do. Do you know differently? Call me if you do. 347-457-2769. I learned a little bit early today. And one of the things I learned is that patience is truly a virtue. And we are all, if fortunate, going to experience a life of constant transition. And in the stages of our lives and the parts that we play and how we acquire our knowledge makes all the difference in the world. I am not in the habit of not sharing information. So here we have. I want to introduce you to a store in Brooklyn, New York, on Flatbush Avenue. I stopped in and I was pleased when I stopped in. And so I want to share an interview with you that I found pretty good. Let me see if I'm screen sharing. I hope so. I hope I am. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. We're gonna go here. Here we go. Um, Sharing some information, some insight on how we can better understand sex, sexuality, sexual preferences. Please do your best not to be prejudiced against people. It is not for us to judge others. It is very important that we keep a clear mind. Sometimes the judging becomes a ricochet, you know? What you give out is what you'll get in. So watch what you say and how you say it and who you say it to. Okay. I do thank you for coming. I thank you for listening. If you again are watching this and it's recorded and you want to reach out, team follow me at yahoo.com is my email. Again, you can go to the website networkingforsuccess.info, share some information, and you don't have to talk to me. Talk to a young person and get some information from them and share some information with them. They depend on us. It's the best way to say this. Thank you very much. Have a great every day.